Hi, I'm Tony Northrup,
And I'm Chelsea.
and for our book, Stunning Digital Photography, we're in the car today because this is where portrait location scouting really starts for us. Now, if we're doing location scouting for landscapes or cityscapes, it would typically start with satellite imagery. We'd go to Google Maps or Bing Maps and kind of scope out, because those are big pictures. You're taking pictures of big locations and you can see them from the sky. But for portraits, you really are focusing on smaller backgrounds. You're thinking about texture and light, and I really have to be there in person to see it. And one of the things I do is I just drive around. And whenever I'm out driving, I'm keeping my eye open for a really nice pasture or a field of flowers, or sometimes they're just reeds that I know will catch the light just right. I'll be looking for different types of locations too. For example, if I have some male high school senior pictures coming up, I'll be looking for maybe brick walls with graffiti, because that sort of thing tends to be popular with them. So keep in mind different moods. Being near the water is also nice too. Now, something you need to keep in mind when you're looking for locations is finding a spot that is relatively private, because spot in a public place where the model would be clearly visible, that'll freak out people who aren't professional models, and even some professional models. So I like to find nice and quiet places. You should also think about the rights that you have to take pictures at the location, because, for example, in New York City, you're not legally allowed to take professional portraits anywhere without having some paperwork filed. And cops will come up to you and they will ask for your papers, and if you don't have them, it's going to be the end of your portrait session and it's going to be quite embarrassing. So make sure you have everything in order. But for the most part, if you're in a public place or, of course, private property that you own, you're A-OK. So I happen to know where a park is, so I'm going to drive there, and on the way I'm going to be keeping my eye open for any locations on the way that I might want to visit. One of the things we look for is a big open space with no distractions and nice clean lines.
It's especially nice if you're taking a group photo, because you don't have to worry about zooming in to get a nice background. You have a nice, open, clean, simple background for a lot of people to pose in. It's also good if you're taking pictures of little kids, because they have a nice open space to run around in without many distractions.
In other words, if you can find a big space like this, wherever you happen to point the camera is going to be a nice composition.
If you're familiar with our photography, you may recognize this spot. Tony took a picture of me wearing a nice red dress sitting on a suitcase here.
I really like that the columns on either side add a lot of depth to the picture, and the background is nice and clean. So once again, we're looking for a nice, clean location with no distractions. The overhead pergola also helps control the light, so even on a bright sunny day, you won't get harsh lighting on the model. I also really like these columns, and there's a tree off to my right that provides some shade when the sun is out. The background is nice and clean too, so this spot is good for either full body shots or a nice close headshot.
It's also a nice location for the model, because having an extra element in the picture, like this post, gives her something different to do. You can lean on it or kind of work with it a bit. Once again, this is a great location for a portrait, because it not only has some natural framing in the shot, but it has a nice clean background.
The wall here provides a lot of shade, at least when the sun is lower in the sky. If the sun were high up in the sky and I was shooting midday, I'd have to bring a diffuser or some other form of artificial shade so the model didn't have bright sun in his or her face. One of the most important factors in a portrait location is convenience for you, because after all, if you have to drive an hour, it's going to end up just costing you more because it takes more time. So if you want to keep your portrait prices down, set up something at your own house where you can at least get headshots, if not full body shots. Now, our own backyard doesn't have expansive views or a beach that we can use as the backdrop, but we do have enough trees here that we can do simple headshots in natural light. And for a lot of people, especially people who need pictures for their website, that's all they need. They might want to be outside so that they get that natural vibe. For me, I know at any different time of day that I can move to different locations in the yard and get a spot where the trees and the backdrop are nicely illuminated. One of the disadvantages to shooting at my own house is that I don't have shade where I have nice backdrops. And for that reason, if I know the sun is going to be out, I'll pull out a diffuser here. Now, these diffusers only cost $10 or $20, but they provide instant shade. You can simply unfold it and then hold it between your subject and the sun. They get blown over by the wind. You can buy a stand for it, but even if with a sandbag, the wind can easily push it over because this becomes a sail really easily. So you often need a second person just to hold the diffuser. But check out Chelsea's face here in the direct sun, and you'll see the lighting isn't that flattering. But if I just hold the diffuser up, you can see it instantly looks much better. And in fact, the diffuser itself becomes a big light source, and a nice, soft light source.
I actually recently did this. I have a friend and she's into alternative healing, and she didn't want the typical clinical headshot with an all-white background. So what I did was I took her to this exact spot. I put a diffuser on a stand, and I got some really beautiful natural shots, and you would never guess they were just in somebody's backyard.
Well, if you like this video, I hope you'll check out our book, Stunning Digital Photography, because it has a lot more information, especially about lighting and posing and everything else you need to know to take a great portrait. You can get it at Amazon or at our website directly for a lower price at stunningdigitalphotography.com. I'd also ask that you check out the links below to subscribe and like the video. And of course, visit and like our Facebook page to hear about upcoming videos and promotions. Thanks so much.